Yeah, here's one you probably didn't think you'd see again, maybe. This is the Worksharp Rolling Sharpener. Remember when these were all the rage? This is Worksharp's version. I got this about a year or so ago. I did like a quick sort of review on it, pretty much saying what you'd expect, that this is well made. It's very situation dependent, but quite good at just doing a few different types of knives. But yeah, what I didn't really think was that I would use it as much as I have. This really is a good version of when you used to just have one of those quick touch-up sharpeners in your kitchen drawer. So like, it's happening way more than I thought, that I would be just about to like cut up a roast or something, and then, oh, the knife's a bit crap. And especially when you do like a slow cooked lamb roast, a slightly dull knife even can kind of smush it apart. And you want to have those nice slices still. And so you know what? You do a quick touch up, get like a nice little bitey edge back on the knife. And this is exactly what that's for. This thing is fantastic for just putting like a 600 grit sort of nippy little edge on something when you're just about to use it. So look, it's not going to get the same results as a set of stones, but in terms of actually getting busted out and used, this would be happening 10 times more for this thing than my set of stones. Look, sometimes when I've got the day free, I luxuriate and I go through all my knives that have needed a sharpen, get my stones out, go all slow like, and make it a day of it sort of thing. But what this is not that. This is for what used to be your quick sort of Wilshire pull through sharpens, and this is a way of doing it that doesn't absolutely ruin the edge of your knives and gets you like a very decent, at least factory grade edge back on your kitchen blade. So really, really cool little four-way adapter thing, so you can have either 17, 15, 20 or 25 degrees. The 17 and the 15 are the kitchen knife style sharpening, I guess, grades. You might want to put a pocket knife in this. I would recommend against that. This truly is something to sit in your kitchen drawer and be used on a whim almost. Just, oh crap, this knife sucks right now. Let's do a quick touch up. This whole process took me 5 minutes, literally while the potatoes were still roasting. So that's what this is for, and it excels at that, and I'm actually really quite happy with having it. This could be the sharpening kit that I've used the most since the start of the year. I haven't really had the time to bust out my sharpening, nor the will or the motivation, and sort of other various things are going on. But this guy here has been prolifically used. The abrasives have held up really, really well, and 320, 600, then the white ceramic absolutely gets the edge that I need. It may not be the edge that I desire, or my heart's true wish for an amazing, atom slicing edge, but absolutely something that will get it going to the point where I've got an amazing cutter for at least that next few instances of cutting. So the thing about kitchen tasks is it's like a mix between cutting really low resistance foods, but then often cutting awkward things in a way that then hit the wooden board and sort of twist an edge off. Consider the pumpkin. This one's already been cut in half. This was in the fridge as a half pumpkin. So I'm making it again into almost a floor-bound quarter pumpkin. But yeah, this is a good example of kitchen knife use. So you want a nice blade to do that sharp cut to get through that skin, but then also you're hitting board. And the board, especially after a little bit of sort of downward torque, is going to twist and do a little bit of damage to that edge. This is why kitchen knives sort of generally favor softer steels that need to be sharpened a little bit more often than having these really brittle sort of higher end steels, because there isn't really much you can do to get around that, to have your blades not sort of hitting and twisting into wood from time to time. So this pumpkin's a really great example of like a knife that requires both precision as well as a little bit of ductility on the edge. And so when you using knives that have those requirements, it's going to be something that you're going to be using a more frequent sharpen, rather than like your get the edge perfect and then just use it until it's absolutely dull like you do with maybe your pocket knives. And that is, again, sort of something I've been learning or figuring out, revisiting this rolling sharpener over and over again. So even these cuts here, like, I could probably do it a slightly different way, but this is the sort of easiest and quickest way. And yeah, I'm hitting a lot of board. I'm getting through that thick pumpkin skin really well, but I'm hitting a lot of board. And there it is. But a really sharp edge. Even if you do this once a week, it's just a minor touch-up. You're not, losing loads and loads of blade. All you're doing is kind of getting out the few rolls and the chips you might have put in last time or the last few times, and then sort of bringing it back. So what you need to know about this guy is it is generally best with this specific pattern of knife. And I mean, like, look at the kitchen knife I'm sharpening now. It needs to have its blade heel hanging out free of the handle. So it needs to have that void from where the handle ends and to where the blade heel begins. Because if you pick up like, or this is another one, very similar example, you need that empty spot there, because when you pick up a handle that sort of creeps up on whether it's the back or onto the heel of the blade, you're going to be hitting that with the sharpener, and it'll still do like most of the blade, but it's not going to do all of it. That's the only really thing you I suppose need to know. But for just kitchen knives, for just quick easy touch-ups, I really am quite sold on this thing. It just goes straight back in the kitchen drawer. That's literally where this guy lives. I barely clean it. I barely think about it until I absolutely need to, get it out on a whim and sharpen up a knife for basically that moment's use. So yeah, maybe I've reevaluated. Maybe I was thinking this in terms of like other knife sharpening uses and how other knife sharpeners are used to basically put a great edge on a knife and then wait till the edge is kind of wild all the way back down to like needing a full sharpen again. This is definitely a touch-up tool that gets a really great edge, especially compared to other touch-up tools like the ones I mentioned before, pull-throughs and whatnot. Yeah, I'm actually bizarrely happy with this, and I'm surprised by how much I've been using this and enjoying it. So there you go. Work Sharp rolling sharpener. It's good. It feels solid in the hand, well put together, well made. A little bit on the expensive side, but for people who don't know sharpening especially, they're going to think this is a really clever and cool product as well, and basically anyone can use it. It's really intuitive. I don't know. Look, if you haven't considered it, this is probably a great sharpening gift. One of the better sharpening gifts you could probably get someone, especially a non-knife person, because most of the knives that anyone ever sharpens is going to be their primary kitchen chef knife. So you know what, you're going to give the gift of sharpening with this. That's sort of how I'd look at it. Again, still, yeah, if you're a real edge nerd, getting the water stones out, going to be the best way for sure. But I don't know. If you have knives that look like they would fit this, or if you buy this, get a couple of knives that sort of fit this style of sharpening, I think you'll have a good time. Anyway, that's it for today. I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.